So speaking of rich contracts and rich things, Kareem Hunt could earn up to $4 million if he hits the incentives in his contract with the Cleveland Browns. He had his introductory press conference yesterday. So, guys, my question to you is, and we touched on it a tad bit, what can we realistically expect from Hunt?
By the way,
we went in on this yesterday, so I think Jay should start.
By the way, have we seen the breakdown of how he gets to those incentives? Has anybody seen that?
I have
not yet.
No, I don't think it's been reported yet.
Okay.
If it has, I missed it.
As Jay said, you didn't get to chime in yesterday, so.
This doesn't really move the needle for me. He's a backup. He cannot possibly be in shape. He's not in football shape.
I was told that he's been working out.
I'm sure he has, but there's a difference in working out.
Well, you can't be in football shape.
That's exactly it, unless you're playing football.
So you're right about that.
So he has no chance that he's actually in football shape. I would be surprised. I know Kevin said he could get some carries Sunday. I think we have a fence rider question coming up. I'd be surprised if he has any sort of real role in this game just because.
You don't think he's going to play at all?
Well, it's a short week to start with. He just got in the building on Wednesday.
Yeah, but for him, it's a long week.
Well, but for the team, it's a short week. He didn't get in the building until Wednesday. I mean, if he plays, I think it's very, very, very,
but
very
little. It's not
like
a typical midweek pickup. He knows the system.
And I think that's why it's him.
It's running back, too.
I'd rather him. I think Cam Akers is better. I'd rather them see go
really?
get. Oh, yeah.
He already got traded.
Well, not until after they signed Kareem.
Yeah.
The trade went down after they signed Kareem.
Yeah, but with obviously Kareem Hunt's had his off-the-field issues.
Sure.
But Browns already know his deal. Like, there's a reason the return in the trade is the lowest possible return you could have gotten in a trade.
But Cam Akers is an active NFL player who is in shape and ready to go.
At least ready to go now. Plug and play, as they say.
But the benefit to Kareem is he knows the system.
Yeah.
So that's probably...
And he's not a cancer in the locker room.
Right. Ultimately...
Yeah, there's a lot of baggage swirling around Akers if you listen to the reports.
I don't know how big of a role he's actually going to play. I guess we'll wait and see. I don't think there's
it'll increase as the weeks go along,
Of course, but I just don't think there's a lot of tread left on those tires.
It's Jerome Ford, right?
For sure.
It's his.
Yeah, this is Jerome Ford. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If Jerome Ford plays really well, then he'll continue to be the lead guy. But if if the running game is not looking great, well, then I think at some point we're going to see a split between the two. Listen, I was as critical of Kareem Hunt as anyone last year, but he's not a zero.
Well, you bring up an interesting point on Jerome, and I think he has until the bye week to prove if he's the guy. And if he's not, you have to go get Jonathan Taylor. I absolutely believe you have to go make that move. You have to make that move.
We would I initially reacted to the injury and said, go get Jonathan Taylor. And then I calmed down and I said, well, this is crazy.
Well, here's the thing. No, why not?
Because ultimately, you have to give up a ton to get him. You have to pay him a ton of money.
Yep.
And if Deshaun Watson doesn't play better, they're not winning anyway.
Okay, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
Can he make Deshaun Watson play better?
It's not even
that.
Nick
Chubb couldn't.
Listen, you have 52 guys in that locker room right now that are looking at you saying, what are you going to do? You gave up on us last year and you punted the season.
It's just like the Guardians.
When the suspension went, that's it. When the suspension went to 11 games and they rode with Jacoby Brissett, everybody in that locker room, for as much as they love Jacoby, everyone knew they were punting on the season.
This is different, Jason. It's running back.
But it's not. There's an all-pro running back available in trade right now to go get. And maybe Jerome Ford does it. Maybe he handles the job. Nick Chubb needed an opportunity. We didn't know Nick Chubb was Nick Chubb until he got an opportunity, and then he became Nick Chubb. Yeah. Maybe Jerome Ford, this is his opportunity. He had a couple great runs Monday night. Maybe this is it. He takes the opportunity, runs with it. I'm just saying, if he doesn't, and you have an all-pro, it'd be different if Jonathan Taylor wasn't available. You have an all-pro running back available. Yeah. Now, you do have to pay him. But my point is, you have 52 veterans in that locker room saying, what are you going to do to fix this?
Bull,
I just don't buy that.
To double down on what Jason's saying, when it was the move to get the quarterback, Deshaun Watson, you were all in.
Because the quarterback makes you a winner. Running back
I know. However, if you're one-dimensional, you'll never know what Deshaun Watson's going to be. You need a run game. So all this is assuming that Ford isn't the guy.
That's exactly right.
So this is my point.
I'll tell you this.
At what point do you stop going all in?
Again, the great quarterbacks, it's irrelevant if they're one-dimensional or not. Patrick Mahomes' teams have been completely one-dimensional almost the entire time he's been there, except for when he was with Kareem Hunt that first year. So, if that's what you gave up all this capital and money because Deshaun Watson's supposed to be a quarterback that is above all these other things.
But Bull, listen.
He hasn't been. If he's not, they can't win.
In the locker room after the game, I was talking to a veteran who said, we're going to find out how much they value the running back position. They are watching. They're watching to see. They're watching to see how the Browns handle this. Right. Now, maybe Jerome Ford
is the guy.
Maybe he's the guy, and that's great if he is. It solves a huge problem, and now somebody's calling me.
Jason,
and now you just go with it. But if he's not, you have a real problem because you have veterans that know that. This is my point.
Yeah.
They punted on last season, and the other guys in that locker room know that. So if you have another gaping hole.
Choice.
Yes, they did.
What could they have done?
Jimmy Garoppolo was
Jimmy Garoppolo stinks.
Jimmy Garoppolo is better than. Stop talking. Jimmy Garoppolo is better than Jacoby Brissett, and you know it.
But he's not.
You know it.
I know that, but
okay.
Would they have made the playoffs with Jimmy Garoppolo?
Can I talk? They had an opportunity to make the team better, and they didn't do it because they were more concerned with rolling the cap space over to this year because they're paying their quarterback $50 million. I get it.
Yeah.
But the point is there was a better quarterback out there for them to go get, and they didn't do it. They rolled with what they had. Now they have Jerome Ford. If he's not as good as what they need, and there's someone out there better, and 2 years in a row, you punt on an opportunity to make your team better, what message is that sending to Myles Garrett, to Joel Bitonio, to Denzel Ward, to all of these veterans? You have an opportunity right now. You think you're going to win. If you don't take advantage of it, what message are you sending to everyone else in the locker room?
Running backs get hurt all the time.
Yes, they do.
Do all these teams have pressure to go get a better running back? No, I've never heard that before. It's a running back. Number two, in terms of punting last year, I'll agree with you that they did, but I don't think that they had much of a choice.
Yes, they did.
Jimmy
They had
Garoppolo, the difference between Jacoby Brissett and Jimmy Garoppolo, to me, is irrelevant.
Then how come Jimmy Garoppolo's been a starter his entire career and Jacoby Brissett is not?
He's not been a starter his entire career.
How come Garoppolo went to the NFC title game and Jacoby Brissett is not?
Because he was on the San Francisco 49ers.
I'm just saying there was a quarterback out there who was better.
How's Jimmy Garoppolo doing now? He's going to be benched halfway
through
the
season. There was a quarterback last year. There was a quarterback out there who was better than what they had, and they didn't do anything about it because they didn't want to spend the cap
I don't
space.
think that's a significant difference.
No, it is. It is between Garoppolo and Jacoby Brissett.
No, I don't.
There's a significant difference.
I disagree.
Then how come Jacoby Brissett hasn't been a starter for the last? How come he can't get a starter job for 8 years?
Even in Washington, I thought he might get the job there.
Because Jimmy Garoppolo's a bottom 8 quarterback.
He's better than what they had.
I agree he's better, but he's not significantly better.
I think what Jason's
Would the
saying
Browns have made the playoffs with Jimmy Garoppolo?
We'll never know.
I'm asking your opinion. Do you think they would have?
Possibly.
You think they would have?
Possibly.
You think he would have played that much better than Jacoby Brissett?
I don't want to relitigate all last year, but I know we went
through. Well, you brought it up.
Okay, but so let's go through the list of all the games where Jacoby Brissett threw a bone-crushing interception at the end of the game with the game on the line, and they got to have a moment.
And that's what Jimmy Garoppolo's done all the time. His whole career throw big
the Chargers, the Falcons, and got to have it moments. Brissett threw interceptions.
The bottom line is the Browns lost last year because of their defense, not because of
my
Jimmy
point of this isn't
Brissett.
necessarily Garoppolo. It's just the fact that there was something out there to do last year. They didn't do it. Now they're in the same spot. If Taylor wasn't available, this wouldn't be a conversation.
And Jason, let me help you out here. I don't think that this would be a Brissett for Garoppolo exchange. The exchange, Ford, what we know of him, and Taylor
is massive.
There's no question.
I don't know that we know that yet. Taylor's had one season. Taylor wasn't good last year. Was he good?
If you had to pick right now,
I'd pick Taylor, of course.
Okay.
But was Taylor good last year?
Between Taylor, this is the point I'm making, is the difference between Taylor and the Ford as we know him, which again is a small body of work, is that different than Brissett and Garoppolo? Because to me, it is a big difference.
Yeah, but it's a much less important position.
I just think if you're all in, you're all in.
Now the catch with Taylor is you have to pay.
So why are you not screaming to go get a better left tackle then?
What all-pro left tackle is available right now on the market today?
Well, I don't know.
That's my point. He's out there and he's available and he's ready right now.
Jonathan Taylor wasn't an all-pro last year. Does he get to be all-pro forever now because he made one all-pro?
Well, he was on a terrible team last year in a terrible situation.
And he was hurt, and he's hurt again this year.
Jason, let me ask you a question. So I think this is going to clarify a little bit. If Jonathan Taylor wasn't available and actively available, the Colts have made him available. That's public knowledge. That is an open fact. Would that change your opinion of how you think the veterans are looking at the situation?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Of course it does.
So it is situational to this specific
and McNuggets and all of you guys, I think it, to me, and I brought this up, I think it's the same thing the Guardians decided to do. Are the Guardians going to win the World Series this year? No. Were they going to win the World Series if they didn't punt and become sellers instead of buyers? Probably not. But could they have provided another series or two of postseason excitement in October for the fans who are starving for a drink?
You're comparing not trading Jonathan Taylor to trading away players? That's a bad comparison.
It's not. Well, here's the analogy.
Traded away
Let me make the analogy. The Guardians had to make a decision.
Yeah.
Are we going to sell or are we going to buy? And they went all in on the sell. And in the locker room, It was so bad, the next night they got no hit.
Yeah, okay.
And management had to
I
get
get
on
it.
an
We all
airplane.
know what happened. We all know what happened.
So my point is, and Jason
So
backed this up.
you're saying by not trading for Jonathan Taylor, they're selling?
I'm saying they have an opportunity to improve their team.
Well, you always have an opportunity to improve
No, you
your
don't.
team.
You
Yes,
don't always.
do.
You don't. That's
yes,
not
you
true.
do. Always.
When you lose an all-pro running back, it's not often that there's another all-pro running back in the wings. This time it is.
But you can't. There's always somebody you can improve with. You didn't say improve with an all-pro.
Weren't you screaming
No.
for DeAndre Hopkins?
Yes, I was a free agent. I didn't have to give up multiple draft picks to get him and sign him to a multi-year deal worth millions and millions of dollars.
Well, you're going to have to sign him to. Look at what he signed. You're going to have to sign him to big money. That's what Taylor.
Well, how
wants.
many years did DeAndre Hopkins sign for?
I think one.
That's 1 year.
Okay, with the Browns right now, it's the value of the 1 year is what is the hindrance because
the window's not open long.
when you have what do they have $34 million in cap space right now that they're trying to roll over to next year
Yeah.
because Deshaun Watson's number is $64 million. It's the biggest contract in the history of quarterback contracts for 1 year. That's why they're trying to roll over $34 million. I get it. I'm just telling you, they're going to lose veterans. If Jerome, and maybe this is a moot conversation because Jerome Ford is great. If he's not, they're going to lose veterans if they don't do anything. If this is the best that they do, is they run out a Kareem Hunt with 3 wheels left on him and a Jerome Ford who's not as good as they thought, they are going to lose veterans in that locker room. I'm telling you now.
What do you
I can
think?
see that.
What do you think you have to give up to get Jonathan Taylor?
I don't know. I'm not part of those discussions. But they have their number one available the year after
So
next.
you're going to trade a first
I
round
don't know.
pick for a running back?
No, I'm just saying. It's not like they don't have any draft capital. They do. They do have draft capital.
I don't understand.
They do. In the future,
we
they
know
do.
running backs don't move the needle in terms
Hey,
of wins
Bull,
and losses.
is this equivalent? Because this is the way I'm viewing it.
Yeah.
You're at the poker table.
Yeah.
And you've already made the decision. I'm riding or dying with this. I'm all in.
Pot committed is the term.
That's it.
You are
committed.
pot committed.
You're absolutely right. You're pot committed. So
You
at
can't
this
get out
point,
now.
Like, here's my fear. My fear is, and I know we have 8 games to judge this on. If there is a miraculous turnaround for Deshaun Watson, then I'm going to be surprised by it. Because right now, if I had to go pot in on something, I'm going pot in on
So
what I've
then
seen
why
the
are you
last 8
trading
games.
for Jonathan Taylor? If you
What
don't
I-
think he's going
what
to be
I'm
good?
saying is, this move, we talked about this yesterday, and I'd like to get your thoughts. We said that if Deshaun Watson doesn't improve or get any worse, just plays the way he has for the next 4 years, this is among the absolute worst trades in pro sports. We
Yeah.
mentioned Herschel Walker clearly.
Yeah.
I think so. That's what you're looking at. If you can make a move that might resurrect that, I think you have to
It
make
won't
it.
resurrect that, though.
You don't know that it won't until you try it. You don't know.
I agree with you.
How is Jonathan Taylor going to resurrect the Browns?
I agree with you.
Really?
If
Did
Deshaun,
Nick Chubb resurrect the Browns?
We had a chance with Nick Chubb. We all sat here and said the Browns have a chance with Nick Chubb.
But Nick Chubb, are you saying that Jonathan Taylor could resurrect Watson? Is that your point?
I'm saying that he can make Watson a little bit better, absolutely. Because right now he's one-dimensional. And if they figure out...
He's not
If
one-dimensional.
opposing defenses figure out that Jerome Ford's not the guy, I think Deshaun Watson's life gets a lot more miserable.
and it's already pretty miserable.
Jake,
It is pretty
the bottom
miserable,
line
but
is
if there's no running threat other than him,
yeah.
they're one-dimensional.
Well,
They're going to have to throw the ball to win.
A, they weren't one-dimensional because they ran the ball very well
They
with Jerome
did.
Ford. B,
Well-
yes, that's a fact.
Yeah, for 2 quarters plus, he had one
That's the only-
exceptional run.
That's the
but you're
only.
right.
That's the only thing we have right now.
They
You talk
ran-
about sample size.
But here's the problem. They
Yeah.
ran for almost 200 yards and lost.
Well, that had nothing to do with the running game.
Well, they turned it over. They've got to clean up the turnovers.
okay, but
clearly.
that's zero to do with the running game. That was on Deshaun Watson.
It was, and he didn't
Yeah.
come through.
Let's say Deshaun, you said if Deshaun doesn't play well, they're screwed, so it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
they have no chance.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what if he doesn't play well? Now what?
Yeah, what do you do now? What's the
What do you
future
do?
look like if Deshaun is
I mean,
awful?
they are screwed. So
They're
what do you-
screwed.
So what do you do?
That's a whole off-season conversation. I mean,
but-
there's nothing you can do in season if Deshaun Watson.
But there is a move you can do in season right now, and that's
Yeah.
go get Jonathan Taylor. And I understand it eats into the cap space you're trying to roll over, and it creates all sorts of problems for next year. I'm actually working on a piece for The Athletic on this and contract restructuring. And the Eagles went through it. The Falcons went through it. The Falcons were in absolute cap hell because of Matt Ryan, and they made a couple of really bad decisions on restructures. And this eats into that. But I'm just telling you, to appease the guys that are in there, you have to show them that you're willing to back them up. And I hope it doesn't come to that.
Yeah.
I don't want them to have to trade for Jonathan Taylor. I want Jerome Ford to take this opportunity and run with it and go be that
agree
guy.
with that.
And it will solve a lot of their problems now and into the future. I'm just pointing out, if that doesn't happen, I think they absolutely have to go make that move.
No matter what the price.
Well, I don't think it's going to be outrageous. I really don't.
I mean, a first-round pick for a running back is pretty outrageous.
I probably wouldn't give
I
it
don't
a first
think it
round
would
pick.
be a first-round pick.
The only point I was trying to make is we act like the Browns are depleted in picks, and they're not.
I agree with that.
They do have the capital to get
agree
that
with that,
done.
But they don't have a first-round pick next year.
Correct.
Right,
That's
the
the last
year
year they
after.
don't have.
After
But let me
that,
ask
they
you
get
this.
it back.
And it's not like the NBA where you could trade as many first-round
Yes.
picks as you want.
Yes.
But let me ask you this last thing. If Deshaun Watson plays the way he's played, which is, you could argue he's been the worst quarterback in football since starting last year.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's
that's
31
He's
in the
certainly
QBR.
he's certainly in the bottom 5 of quarterbacks.
Yes.
Since he started last year. If he continues to play at that level, Jonathan Taylor doesn't make them a playoff team.
I agree with that, but you're screwed anyway. My point is you have to show the other guys in that locker room. You have to show Miles, Bitonio, Wyatt, Denzel Ward, Anthony Walker, whatever veteran you want to name. I'm particularly looking at like the pillars of the franchise.
Yeah.
You have to show them that you are all in.
You
and
think
you're not,
you lose those guys?
Yeah, I think you
You're
do.
not punting for the second